The fearless leader, Wilfred Ratigan, as he called himself, resigned from the call to action and other groups from the diaspora that was formed. We'll get into that, and also allegation floating around Dr. Francis' involvement in the Green Bay killing. Uh, brown paper bag of money is missing after Jamaica callers collected. All those questions and more will be answered tonight by Herb Nelson, Dr. Rupert Francis, and I'm thinking Jamaica callers and other members will be here with us tonight to answer the question. So the resignation of Wilfred Ratigan, we will go through it all tonight. Just like, share, and subscribe. We'll have with us also Commissioner Joy with us tonight. Good evening, Commissioner Joy. Your phone is muted. Dr. Francis, good evening. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. And you, my friend?
Good evening.
Hi. Good evening, Commissioner Joy. How you doing?
I am blessed. I'm blessed. Thank
Yes,
you.
I think you're playing in the background. You're playing in the background. The show. You might have to turn it off
Or turn down.
or turn it down. Dr.
Okay.
Francis, it's a pleasure having you again. I haven't seen you for a couple weeks now.
That is true.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
Well, honestly, I was in hospital for a while, and
Okay.
to be quite honest, God is good. I am out, and I'm
Okay.
about, and I'm recuperating well. But it was important to keep in touch with you, keep in touch.
Yes, I
Keep in touch with the crew, keep in touch with the persons that I've been working for a very long time. So I'm back here, and I'm healing and mending well.
Dr. Francis, we're going to be talking about quite a few things tonight. And for the listeners, I want to lay out some of the things that we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about how did we come by this call to action group? What the future look like for a call to action? We also will talk about allegations about money missing. We will talk about the allegation of your involvement in Green Bay killing. I think that's a big one. And I will talk to also Commissioner Joy about her involvement. Chris,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you look good, man.
It's the background. How you
This
doing?
is a good one.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Dr. Francis, let me play something here real quick, if I may, and because this is what we're gonna be talking about, Dr. Francis.
Oh, my people, this is the fearless leader of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation with a significant message for you. First, I have resigned from the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council that is registered in Connecticut, Florida, and with the IRS. I repeat, I have resigned from the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council that is registered in Connecticut, Florida, and with the IRS. I have also disassociated myself from the Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force, and also the Call to Action Group, which I left almost 2.5 months ago. I am only associated with the organization I formed in June of last year, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. Now, recently, a group of my colleagues and friends saw it fit to publish scandalous lies and misrepresentations about me and the affairs of the OJLDF, One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. This was disappointing because whatever the issue was, it could have been handled behind closed doors. And believe me, we have handled many issues behind closed doors. Now, except for a few remarks I made almost 2 weeks ago, I've sat back and watched the hatchet job being done by those whom I've been closely affiliated with and others. Well, tune in on Saturday to Reason with Ratigan for a gripping presentation of the unvarnished facts.
Dr. Francis, did I catch you by surprise?
Oh yes, you did catch me by surprise because I didn't expect to see Mr. Ratigan speaking to us today. But that's fine. It's okay. I was, it's okay.
No, it's just that I don't know if Chris mine or Commissioner Joy mine, but I think I wanted to put that out there that because a lot of what we're going to be talking about it stem from a result of that resignation, of course. And as he would have said, join us with reason with Ratigan this Saturday. And from that, then come other allegations that we'll be going over tonight. I'm awaiting Mr. Herb Nelson and I guess some other people. But while we wait, I'm gonna ask you what what um what does this resignation from Wilfred Ratigan mean to call to action? Before I even get to that question, Dr. Francis, I want to know what about this call to action? Who formed this call to action group?
Well, before I say that, let me say welcome to the listeners. Welcome to those persons who are on board with us right now. Welcome to those persons who just want to hear the truth and nothing but the truth. In regards to the video before, I'm not going to comment on that video because, everybody's entitled to their position, and that was the position given. And I want everybody to understand. And before I go even further, I'd like to say who I am, where I'm from, and
Yes,
how
sir.
I got to be here. It's just very short. I'm from Ocho Rios. I was born there, and then I went to Yorkcastle High School, and I graduated from there. And I was Boy of the Year for Jamaica in 1968 for Social Development Commission, and then after that, I wanted to go to university, but I couldn't afford it, so I joined the military. But the military joined me. So let me make it clear there. That is just a background of who I am and what I've done. I've served my country and other things, but I'm not going to waste time on that. I'm going to say to you, though, those incidents taught me a lot about what to do, how to do it, and to the love of your country and patriotism. So that's all I'm saying at this point in time. The question you asked me was the call to action. The call to action came together just, I would say, at the right time. I think we there were some of us who thought that we were not getting the real deal from the government of Jamaica, and so we decided in the diaspora that we wanted more no acknowledgement, more notice, because if we are the ones who have carried brand Jamaica all these years, we wanted to make sure that we could at least be part of the equation. And we found out that many things that were being done in the diaspora was still being headed by the Jamaica government, regardless of which government. It didn't matter to which government it was.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. So that's how it came to be. And so we got together, some people like minds, and we did that, yes.
Oh, you guys come together and form. Do you have any? Can you tell us how long ago since you actually formed? You like-minded people come together and form this group.
Well, it's over a year. It's over a year that we have been together, uh, as a team. And they're members of the task force, that are on it. And of course, members from other groups. We tended not to call people's names
Yes,
to identify them as members, and so on and so forth. Some people have volunteered their time, their effort, and so on, and we welcome them. And we had also a group called the Call to Action Florida. Our aim was to make our voices heard in terms of protests, whatever way we can through social media, and to gain the attention of the Jamaican government, write letters, whatever. So that's how we came together, yes.
I have seen several protests. In fact, I've been to two of them, which I would consider to be successful in terms of getting your voice out there. I've seen it all over the news, and I'm assuming from uh, gaining that attention that it would have reached the government. Was it those protests effective from how you view it?
Well, I don't want to be the only one that can answer. I guess a couple of these colleagues here can answer. But yes, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm concerned, they were successful events. We had the first one in Miami at the consul down there, and then we had the second one in New York, and then we had the third one in DC. Those
Oh,
were the three that I remember most because they were actually protests. Okay,
okay.
and the first one we were called a famous name, the Dirty 30, and at
Mhm.
that time a travel advisory came out, and we were thought that it was thought that we were responsible for that, and we also sent out letters to galvanize support, and the first letter was sent to the ambassador of the United States, Order Marks, and was sent to as many people as possible, including the government and government officials everywhere in the world. And so
Well,
that
you mentioned three protests, but I'm aware of four. Why not four?
well, we didn't consider the first one was Miami, that was a protest. The
Mhm.
second one was New York, that was a protest. The third one was DC. The other one was a conference protest. All
Okay.
yes.
Thank you for that. I seen join us, Mr. Herb Nelson. Mr. Herb Nelson, how you doing? I
He's
guess
not making something right. I went under the table, I think.
yeah, it went down the table. Chris, how you
May-
doing?
Yes, sir. I'm well. Thank you.
Chris, it's important on this show for you to tell us a little bit about Chris. Just a minute about Chris.
Yeah, man. Sure. Real quick. So I am a Jamaican born, but I am a retired special agent from Homeland Security.
Okay.
21 years there and another 5 with the Drug Enforcement Administration. So my background for the 26, 27 years is law enforcement, U.S. law enforcement, that may be specific. Um, I was introduced, after I retired, I was introduced to Dr. Francis and his efforts, the Diaspora Crime Task Force and the
Mhm.
call to action groups, right? Which, by the way, for those who don't understand the call to action groups, it's just a WhatsApp group with a group of people who discuss matters concerning, affecting Jamaica, and the objective is to improve or make suggestions to improve the situation with the crime there and to eliminate corruption and to hold the government, and by that I mean any government, not PNP or GLP, any government in Jamaica, right? Responsible for doing what they're supposed to do, taking care of the citizens, getting things done, accountable for funds that they receive to help the country, the island, the people, and so on. And I thought, that's an interesting group to be a part of, to hear what they do, what they say, what they plan, and so on. And so, being retired now, I said, and my background being law enforcement, I was asked to join the group, participate, and so on. Perfect. It sounded like a great fit, right? And I should say, the group discussed different things, current and past,
Yeah.
concerning Jamaica, uh, the crime situation, how things could have be improved, how things were not done properly, and so on. And I put my 2 cents in every now and again. My approach is always to support the police, right? Because I don't believe that any of the police officers, other than the vast majority, right, are truly interested in crime fighting. They want to reduce the crime in the country. They want to help their citizens, their fellow brothers and sisters of the nation, and have the country a place where people feel free to go about their business, and so on. Also including attracting tourists and foreigners, right? That's a big part of it as well. And I just think that the police needs to be given more support. We talk about training, resources, and of course the interference, political interference, which is a factor, okay, that affects policing in Jamaica. Let's face it. I've always said, that needs to go away, and hold the government, which once again, whichever government, not JLP, accountable for making sure that the police do their jobs, give them the resources they need to do their jobs, and to allow them to get it done without any interference. All right. Also, corruption, which let me say is across the world in every country, right? Whether you're a developing country or such as the country, or countries such as the U.S., Canada, UK, what have you, all have corruption issues and matters. The thing is that sometimes in Jamaica it may be more overt, and as Jamaicans we see it. It's probably more personal to us, right? And it's a small island, so small country, small place, so it may appear more evident than it does in other places. And the difference is that in the US and other places, we've noticed that when corrupt activities are identified, usually taken care of. There's resignations, there's arrests of
Right.
involved if it's a crime, and so on, right? In Jamaica, it may not be as such. Let me just say.
Right.
May I just interject a second and say that could you send it to Mr. Gross and Mr. Brown?
He needs to mute.
Okay.
What is it?
Okay. All right. I will send. I thought I sent it to
Oh,
Mr.
you
Brown.
muted. He muted it. Okay. Gotcha.
All right. I will send it again. So anyhow, while
So,
I'm here, I'm gonna take care of it. Commissioner Joy, I see you as an active member in the whole the call to action group. I'm just trying to find out a little bit about Commissioner Joy, and I'm pretty sure the listeners want to know a little bit about Commissioner Joy as well, and how you get to be a part of this group. Could you tell us a little, Commissioner Joy?
Hi, good evening, each and everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me on
Amen.
your show, and also to everyone here tonight. Are you hearing me very well?
Oh,
Clear?
definitely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm commissioner, and I'm a 4 year. I just did my first term in Florida.
Yes.
Now, Jamaican by descent,
Mhm.
which means my mother and my father born and raised and grew and everything in Jamaica. I'm a British. I was born in England, but I've been to Jamaica since I was 11 months old.
Okay.
So, um, I went back to England. I migrated from England to the United States. So, here in the United States, and the reason I become a commissioner is because of representation, representing where I am a commissioner right now. I've been lack of representation there, and that's why I run for commissioner here, because my community also have a lot of Jamaicans in there, and we are not being represented well here.
Right.
Now, this the same thing in Jamaica. This is it. Been to Jamaica. I have a property in Manchester, and I've spent tons and tons of money there. Soon as I go there, put on a door, thief take it off. Put on a window, splice out the window, cut off the grill, to empty out the house. It's like every time I have to be starting over in Jamaica. So there, and then the last point, I'm still waiting for fingerprints to happen in my house, where my house has been not even broken into, and not even as much as fingerprint cannot be presented to fight a crime, or at least say, let me feel comfortable where the police come and do some fingerprint. Not even as much as that cannot be done. So I find it I've been searching and searching and searching for, people who really care about what's happening in Jamaica and wants to build Jamaica, make Jamaica better Jamaica. So I met Dr. Francis, and actually I think it was through Jamaican Carlos. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure how it go, because I wanted to be somewhere to do something, and I was watching.
Be a part of a group that can
Yes,
make a
that
difference.
can
Okay.
at least make a difference. can
Okay.
make a difference. I'm here, I'm trying to make a difference in my own community. But I have seen, and there's a lot of elected officials here in America who are Jamaicans and who turn their blind eye on what is happening. I am not that person. I am not that person because I want to know that when I I'm tired and I want to take a dive to Jamaica. I want to take a trip to Jamaica. I want to feel comfortable. I want to have to be looking behind my back. I just
Right.
want to jump in my car, go pick up my car at the airport, jump in the car, and go to my home. I don't want to have to be like worried about stopped by cops and get, mistreated or stopped by robbers and
Okay.
thief and whatever the case. So anyway, um, when I pounce upon call to action, man, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, this is this is something that I want to get
Be a
involved
part
in.
of. Right. Right.
Yes,
Right.
I want to get involved in it. Anything to make Jamaica, nice.
I
I
agree
want to be
again.
a part of it.
I agree again.
That's
So,
why I
so,
choose.
so
That's
let
why
me
I
ask you
choose
this
that
though.
word, nice.
So let me ask you this: do you have any
Yeah,
regret being a part of Call to Action?
have not regret at all being a part of call to action. The only thing that I regret about is the way how things turned out because I have highly respect for each and every one that involves in a call to action. I did. When I met the everyone, I thought we were all one big family who have the same motive, have the same heart and compassion for what call to action is about.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I want to hear a little bit from Mr. Herb Nelson. Mr. Herb Nelson, how you doing? Thanks for coming.
Hey,
Can you just give us a 2 or 3 minutes synopsis of who Herb Nelson and how did you get to be a part of Call to Action?
well, they Herb Nelson served 24 years in the U.S. Army, um, with background in special operations, admin, logistics, and some military police support skills.
Mm-hmm.
They Once I completed my term in the military at 24 years. I completed that recruiting and career counseling.
Okay.
I went on to the intelligence community where a lot of the skills I learned in the military, I found it readily applicable to intelligence community. Of course, I did my training within the community and just went on to become an analyst within the intelligence community. I found when I was in the community that I was able to see a lot of things happening in the Caribbean that I was concerned about. And I saw the same thing when I was in special operations, especially with the Michael Manley era. And I figured I would get some answers while I was in the intelligence community, which I did. So you learn all about America, America's desire to remain powerful, that America only has interests, they have no friends, and that the America applies their policies ruthlessly to friends as well as enemies. It doesn't matter who you are, right? They just want to be number one, period.
Right.
And so I said, I didn't like how I left the island, how I felt disenfranchised, couldn't stay on the island and get an education. Um, and I had to come away to America to get that education.
Mm-hmm.
I got quite an education for the entire 20 something years and 16 years in the intelligence community. And I said, let me apply some of what I learned to help in Jamaica in whichever way I could. Now, meeting up with people like Dr. Francis, Wilfred Ratigan, and others, I can tell you they had similar backgrounds, and they also found the assimilation into the U.S. A challenge, but nevertheless they were able to overcome, and that's their ability to overcome and the way that they overcame obstacles. That attracted me because now we realized we needed to tell others and teach others that methodology of overcoming these obstacles, not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to try. And so we've been, preaching and teaching as we go along.
Mhm.
And so when we heard of the various things happening in Jamaica, the outlaws that were there and the way that the police acted and they themselves were acting as outlaws and the way the government and government ministers were acting as outlaws, whether it was the PNP or the JLP, didn't matter. We figured we could play a central role in getting people to understand the politics of the day and understand how to overcome that type of lawlessness and selfishness that was being displayed. And so when we got the call to action group together, the idea was, okay, we've got a legal person, we've got intelligence people, we've got police, we've got a mix of citizenry that were in the business like yourself.
Right.
And so we said, we can make an impact. We can speak to our diaspora, and then we can speak to the people on the island. But when we tried to speak to our diaspora, we found out the diaspora was entangled with the government. The government was, in fact, dictating terms and conditions and what you could do or could not do to the global Jamaica diaspora movement. It was like that at first, we thought, because we were getting the cooperation. But once we found out that this government had
Mhm.
said, if you argue with them, if you don't follow the rules, that they can kick you out and there's no recourse.
Right.
So we decided that had to change,
Right.
right? And I keep saying we because it was always a sit down discussion, an agreement.
Right.
That agreement then meant we put it into action. So when we decided on whether it was a protest or we decided to go after and support the Kamina Johnson case, it was as a group. But as you can see,
I see the separation.
very well as a group.
Sorry to cut you there, but I have a burning question to ask you, and I wish you, I hope you can answer me. I've seen you, and I play I must tell you, I play the clip of Wilfred Ratigan resignation, and I have seen you and Mr. Ratigan and many platforms. And for some reason, I don't see you anymore. Is there something going on between you and Mr. Ratigan why he left the task force? Do you have anything to do with it? Why did he leave? I think you're the best person to answer because you seem to be a lot closer
Dennis,
to him.
when I said to you, and good evening to all your listeners, I said to your listeners as well that it came as a shock to me that Wilfred Ratigan could equate me and Dr. Francis in blocking him from becoming police commissioner. He must have been carrying a heavy burden for a long time. And so when he said it,
Did he say it? I did not hear that part. Did he actually say
yeah,
it?
he actually said it. He actually said it.
And
Right?
which platform?
Huh? He
And which
said it on
platform?
his platform. In the last hour of his program on Saturday, he said it.
Wow.
Right. So when he was saying that, I realized that this man had a lot of hang-ups. And the hang-ups that he was having is he didn't like sharing the spotlight with anybody. He used Dr. Francis at first first he tried to get him to sue the prime minister. Right? Now he had sued the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and now he was trying to get Dr. Francis to sue the prime minister. That didn't work out. So he says instead he'll just go ahead, use him to sign these letters as head of the crime task force and as a member of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. And so he used them.
So let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this because you said he said it. Did you block Mr. Ratigan from becoming the commissioner, the police commissioner of Jamaica?
Dennis, I wish I had that kind of power because I'd use it for a lot more things other than blocking Mr. Ratigan.
Allow me to ask Dr. Francis the same question. Dr. Francis, what did you have to do with Wilfred Ratigan not obtaining his position as police commissioner? You mute. Let me see, Dr. Francis.
I find it astonishing because I met him in I think it's 2017 or 8, and
16.
I knew
2016.
16. Yeah. But I didn't know this man at all. I didn't know him at all. I didn't know him. So the fact of the matter is that why would I do something to somebody I didn't know? And furthermore, I didn't have those connections.
Wow.
Wow.
So let me ask you this. I don't know who is the best person to answer this question. Where is the future for how does the future look for a call to action now that Wilfred Ratigan has resigned?
Our future looks good, Dennis. We have expanded into Europe. We have expanded into rest of North America, Canada specifically. And that's where the source of this contention reared its ugly head. Because we were looking at this expansion all along. We were looking at making appointments. Mr. Ratigan sat for a while after we took over the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. And I kept telling him that people were confused. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know who to report to. And then we had to make every effort to find out what do we do next. We have experts. We had Dr. Francis, and we had Mr. Beckford up in the Northeast. And we have other people who participated before that wanted to be a part of our movement.
Can I jump in here a second, Herb? Doesn't it?
Go ahead, Dr. Francis.
Yeah, David Brown on I don't know if you're aware of that, Dennis.
Yes, I actually see him, but he had blacked out. So I good evening, Mr. Brown. How you doing?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, nice to have you, Attorney Brown. We are here talking about some allegations that we have not got into as yet, but there are some allegations that was made by, according to stories that I'm getting by Mr. Ratigan. Dr. Francis would want, and I think Herb Nelson, all the main players would want an opportunity to address them and for the public to hear their side of the story. So we are here to discuss that tonight, sir.
Yes.
Are you aware of what is going on where that is concerned?
I have been made aware of it recently, and I'm here on the program in two specific capacity. One, I'm here as Dr. Francis's attorney.
Okay, you're representing Dr. Francis.
Yes, he's my client.
Okay, okay, sir.
And I'm also here in the capacity as a member of the Diaspora Task Force.
Oh, so you are a member of the Diaspora Task Force as well?
Yes, I am.
Are you a new member, or you was always a member?
I can't say I was always a member, but I'm not a new member.
Okay, okay, okay,
And if
okay.
you can give me the courtesy of allowing me to say good evening to the participants
Yes, sir.
and to the listeners, and also tell a little bit about myself as the other participants did, so
Yes,
that you know who I am.
I was gonna do that. I was gonna do that. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. My name is David Brown. I am an attorney here in the United States in Florida. I was a former police officer in Jamaica, and I was also a member of the United States military. And I became a member of the task force after I was referred to Dr. Francis by a gentleman by the name of Malachi Smith, who was a former JCF member, as well as a Miami-Dade police officer here. I was a member of an initiative called the Gabriel Policy Initiative, dedicated to support Jamaica's fight against crime. And shortly after, I would say, a major input in that effort, Mr. Smith told me about Dr. Francis, and I looked into what he was doing and thought that collaboration made sense, and I joined forces with him to continue to help Jamaica. And I met Herb Nelson during that period, and we have been participated in some good work with them. I was not a part of the call to action movement. In fact,
Okay.
I expressly disapproved of the linkage between the task force and what I perceive to be a movement that was not directly in line with the objectives of the task force as I knew it when I joined. However, as an attorney, I understand the right to free speech. And I also met Mr. Ratigan at one point. And in fact, I did appear in a program here with him, if you can recollect.
Yes,
Right?
yes, I remember you were on that show.
Right. And Mr. Ratigan is an attorney, so I give him the full respect as a fellow member of the bar, even though he's of another bar, right? So I am not in the middle of any negativity. I'm concerned about brand Jamaica, right?
Right.
So my purpose here is limited to the role of being Captain Francis' attorney, and also as the opportunity permit, I might say a little bit more about my perception as it relates to the role of the task force and what it can accomplish. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I'm hearing everybody talking about Dr. Francis being the man behind call to action. That's what it implies, because Dr. Francis is where everybody means. Nobody's not saying that it was they're part of Wilfred Ratigan. Where did the connection come from? Dr. Francis, with you and Mr. Ratigan?
The connection came when we spoke to Mr. Ratigan about an alliance to put things together to see if we could get responses from the government. I felt the more the merrier, and we should do it, and so on. Of course, as Attorney Brown told you, he did not think it was a good idea. He thinks we should remain on our core projects. And for those who don't understand this, the core projects of the Crime Task Force are numerous, and we're in fact operating in Jamaica. But one of the things that we go by is not being to show off. We don't go the braggadocious way. And so that's why a lot of people don't know who we are and what we are doing in Jamaica. We are doing a lot more things than a lot of people are doing in Jamaica. Okay? And had I gotten the opportunity to say this, to say some of the things that we are doing, but we will be doing that, and we will be engaging in that. In fact, the most recent one is doing a thing called Be Prepared, which is a disaster preparedness format in a foundation which we have to suggest that we must be prepared for any eventuality, whether it's a hurricane, a storm, an earthquake, whatever. We have never been prepared in Jamaica. So our goal in that foundation, but we have several different departments, if you understand what I'm saying. Right. So we're trying to gradually grow into that. However, this call to action was so inviting towards moving further, quicker, and for the diaspora engaging by itself, because the diaspora is huge. If this diaspora ever got together and really put it, if we could do that in such a small number the other day, up to the point of when we have had these issues, can you imagine where we would be today? We would be on our own, we'd be autonomous, and we could speak, So somewhere along the line, things went awry. And we will address some of them this evening, but I'm not here prepared to say why and how, but I was very disappointed in Mr. Ratigan leaving the space when he did. Okay? And so that's basically the situation. So that led to a lot of things. And so our audience tonight must be prepared to hear the truth and nothing but the truth. Okay? That's why we're here. We're not trying to show off and praise God and do all of those nice things that other people do. We are here to set the record straight and keep it straight. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'm glad, because a lot of people are concerned about the rift that is going on. But the main face and call to action and all these protests that went on was always you and Mr. Ratigan, and of course Carlos, but the main face, and Herb Nelson. I think those were the four main faces on it. I think you and Ratigan was more pronounced as the front runner.
I beg one to pardon. Commissioner Joy, everybody loved her because she came joyful. She came with the attitude of old time Jamaica. Okay? And I tell you, anybody who get her as a representative, gone clear.
Right? Yes, I believe you. I spoke to her on numerous occasions. I love how she really put herself out there. If you ask Commissioner Joy a question, she's gonna answer it real, and that's what I love about her. But Dr. Francis, I want to ask you though, where are you today without Ratigan being a part of what you're doing? Do you think the fact that you and his face was some of the most pronounced face and this whole protesting, how does it impact you moving forward?
To be truthful, it has made an impact because some people have been given the impression that he was the sole source of knowledge, so to speak, and action in the call to action. No, we are not. We are a body of men, and now to include some women who decided on the path we are going, and we will not give up that path. Hence, what we are doing right now. Some people want to break away for their own reasons, and so they can do that if they wish to. But I had hoped that we would not do that, and we could come together as Jamaicans and work it out. Some people are asking that we do not wash our dirty linen in public. I have not done that. And we have not done that. What we are doing is we are trying to see if we can put it back together without any more rancor and discontent. However, having said that, you have a couple of clips, I would imagine. You have a couple of questions there as to my credibility, which has been argued, Herb Nelson's credibility, and all that sort of thing.
I have a couple of clips because I really want to talk about your involvement in Green Bay killing. I think that's a big one to discuss. So I'm going to hold off on that a little bit because I mean, to be honest, as a child growing up and hearing about Green Bay killing, I remember how I felt hearing about it. And for most Jamaicans, we try to forget or move past it. So for it to come back in this space now and for me to learn that you are a part of it, to be honest, it's very I don't know. I'm trying to find word to describe how I truly feel about it, but it's not so good. So we're gonna be touching that further down. But are you saying there is a protest going on this weekend? I think you were a part of that. You will be attending the protest in New York this weekend?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
But wasn't that organized by Call to Action?
It was organized by Mr. Ratigan. but not call to action.
See, Dr.
Yeah.
Francis, I'm a bit puzzled about some of these things that is going on. This happening it's like you guys are one body, but there's just so many different things that is happening from this one body, and it is sometimes confusing to me. I don't really want to put you on the spot by asking about it, but how could a protest that has call to action face on it be organized by one person? That makes any sense.
Well, remember, Mr. Ratigan said that he had left the call to action group. So if you had left the call to action group, then you could not be representing the call to action. Okay, so therein might lie the mix up. But some Mr. Ratigan chose to go the way he wished to go. And let me give you a little synopsis.
Okay.
To just clarify certain things, he decided that he wanted to go to support Wayne Lonesome, I think his name is, yes, out of Canada. And some members of the task force decided that they did not want to support that because it so happens that Mr. Lonesome preferred a certain direction and no secret, a certain political direction. And we said we did not want to follow a political direction. So he decided that he had to go his way or the highway. So he decided to go. And then we decided after a while, okay, he's going, we might as well join him and support him in Canada. Okay? And that's what we did. We supported him in Canada. We had what is known as a conference there in Canada, and we supported him. And it went fairly well, as far as I'm concerned, until the day after the event. And the day after the event, some people got together and castigated a possible member of the task force, or not the task force, and what have you. And we didn't like it. It was a lady. She was really harangued.
And I've been hearing about this lady, this lady. But nobody, the identity of the lady has been sealed, it seems like. Nobody knows. And precisely what happened. Could you just give us a minute of precisely what happened? How could this lady have such a...
It could be confusing if you... Yes, let me explain the confusion. We had decided to start what is called the Global Diaspora Council, which was originally run by the Jamaican government. We decided to take it over physically because it was not established or as a body yet. So we decided that we would get various jurisdictions to come to be part of it. So what happened was that the jurisdictions would have been the United States, Canada, the UK, right? But what happens is that Mr. Lonesome, is what I heard, Mr. Lonesome said he wanted to be the sole man in Canada. So there was a debrief done by Herb Nelson. Maybe Herb can speak for himself. And he did a debrief and said, well, this cannot work or what have you. We just want to help you, not to take you, but you're in Canada, you're a jurisdiction, whatever, we just want to help you. And apparently he refused. And it was that refusal. He got very angry. He said certain very, very angry words. We have the clip. Okay, very, very angry stuff. And then we just decided that he'd go asunder. So we did not join again with him. And that's
okay. Call to action. And I'm gonna get into the whole money thing. Mr. Nelson, if you're available, I want to ask you this question. Was call to action an organization that you have to pay dues and so on and so forth to be a part of it? And the reason I'm asking this, I want to hear about this money and money missing and who spent money. Where are these money that was spent by this, by that, food, expensive food and all that? How all that come about? Could you just explain to our listeners where this whole money saga come from?
Let me say this to you. And call to action is a place where we all met to talk about how to effectively tackle the problem of corruption, whether it was home or abroad, right? Call to action is not a registered group. It is a WhatsApp group. The registered groups were the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, which myself and Mr. Ratigan and a friend of his was on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He later added his boss's daughter to the board. So at no time at all were any other members of the call to action added to the board. Right. The other group that we took over was the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, which Mr. Ratigan aggressively took over, and then he didn't know what to do with it. He finally handed it off to us about a week or so ago. And then he proceeded to lambast us online saying we didn't do anything with it. He had just given it to us basically a week. And so we didn't have time to organize that. Now, the other group, let me add, is the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force, which has been around a while and has done briefings in Jamaica to various entities. The Project STAR, which is the program between the police and the private sector, is a program I briefed 8 years ago, asking them to do that program. So you can see where a lot of things where we briefed back in 2016, 17, 18, they're just implementing now, right?
But
Without
Mr. Nelson, sorry to cut you, but what I want to know, of all these organizations, which of these organizations was collecting money?
the organization that collect money, pretty much, was us individually and turn it over to OJLDF, which is Mr. Ratigan, right? So
I know what premise would you collect money, because you're collecting money individually. How does that
the
work?
only premise was that we were collecting so we could fight these court cases or start court cases, right? So the issue as it stands was there was just one court case that needed to go to the appeals court level.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Ratigan was working with two attorneys, John and Isaac Buchanan. John was the same attorney who took wrote up the appeals for Vibes Cartel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we know these cases cost money.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem I was having on the board was Mr. Ratigan outlined the makeup of the board, outlined what needed to happen, said we had an accountant, right? But at the same time, when he called a meeting, there was no agenda for the meeting published so we could prepare for discussion. And after the meeting, there was no minutes of the meeting prepared and published either.
Okay.
So I don't know what he was writing down afterwards, and what I only knew when it came up in the UK and in other places that money was being paid out or whatever. I was being asked to answer these questions, and I said, no money can be paid out unless the board approved it. And as far as I knew, there was no approval on my watch. I don't know what the minutes say. I don't know anything else other than that.
All right. So you did not personally pay in any money to any organization from your pocket. I know you spend a lot traveling all over. We know all that. But
Put it this way, Dennis. I was responsible for doing investigations. And those investigations cost money. And at one point, I was almost up to $4,000 in the red out of my own pocket. Wow. So when people come and say, oh, well, Herb, you didn't contribute anything, I'm sorry. Put
your personal money in it.
Money, yes.
Let me ask Commissioner Joy. Commissioner Joy, is there?
I'm here.
Were you paying any money to any of these organizations exist?
Well, To be honest with you, I have. You mean you asked me if I was ever being paid
If you were
or
giving
if
money,
I paid?
you paid. Did you pay any money to any of these organizations?
Okay,
These
well,
farmed
well,
organization.
in October 2023, when one Jamaica Legal Defense Fund came along, because I've been following, I was not I I was excited and everything like that, and I do send every paycheck that I get since October last year. I make sure that I donate to OJDLF every paycheck, and you can go back to the records. I send in through Zelle every pay period since from October last year right up until June, because when I realized and I start to hear a little bickering here and there with my suspicion and everything, I was not a part of the group. The group itself, I've never been in the meetings or anything like that. So I didn't know who leave or who's what. I'm just a donor, a supporter.
I you just don't. So who were you donating money to? Who you sell money to? We need to get that because money has been an issue. Who were you selling this money to? Was it an
I
organization or individual?
It goes from my account. It says state on there, Ratigan, and the OGLD, the email that they have, that Ratigan have, that you can Zelle to. That's what it is. When it comes up, it's registered Ratigan, Wilfred Ratigan. So that's who I send the money to from my account. So when
So now that he resigned
mhm,
from all these different organizations, do you have any
mhm.
concern about your money that you put in
Well,
this?
to me, I believe, because when I look back and see what's going on and everything, especially when I went to Canada, because I never get to go to the Miami one when it first started, because that was my birthday weekend and I was traveling. Actually, I was in Jamaica the same day that it happened in
I remember
Miami.
that.
Right. So I definitely said I'm not missing no more. But when I go to Canada now, and this was what made me kind of, irritating too in a way, because even at Canada, I never knew anything or knew what was going on. I just heard. So I speak to Mr. Ratigan face to face, and I asked Mr. Ratigan, how come I don't see you in the group? I'm not hearing anything from the group or anything. So how come I don't see you in the group or anything like that? So he said, um, I'm still in the group. I'm just, hanging in the shadows. So right there, when I hear now that Mr. Ratigan even said with him own self that he left the group from how long, Mr. Ratigan lied to me when I go to Canada. When I asked him,
So you're saying when you ask Mr. Ratigan about
mhm,
we're talking about the call to action group, right?
yes, yes,
Okay,
the
so
group.
when you ask Mr. Ratigan in Canada,
Mhm.
how I'm not seeing you active in the group. What he told you that he is in the group. He's just
He said he's in the group, but he's just in the shadows. That's what he said. So when I'm hearing now, after coming back from Canada and the whole big supper and thing like that, because I wasn't watching the show, and then I
mhm.
hear the whole cast and all of this thing. I was like, what is going on? What is happening here? I happened to be in that house, at Mr. Lonesome house, and I did not know. I could have been set up, for all I know. I was there at Wayne Lonesome house. I was there when he was doing the live the day after the protest and everything. And I feel bad. I'm just like, so now I'm looking into everything and I'm saying, look at this. This is what's happening here. So nobody had to tell me this or whatever the case. I said, well, To my perception, no, this is not good. This is not call to action. This is not what I want to spend my hard earned money on. And if I'm not mistaken, I am the first one to request my money back.
Oh, you request your money back.
Me request my money back
Oh,
because
so whoa, slow down, slow down. Go I hear something. You
yeah, I know.
so who you request your money from?
As a matter of fact, because the Tavares, I should say, okay, because
Yeah,
when you
come a
hear
little closer to the mic so we can hear you. Come a little closer. We can more hear this part. So you
when
request
you
your money
hear
from uh-huh.
when you hear the term that Tavares is Ratty's right hand man, I was the one that sent Tavares. I said to Mr. Tavares, I said, listen,
We're
can
talking
you
about Jeffrey
have
Tavares, right?
yes, yes. I said I need to request a refund for my money. So Mr. Tavares said, why are you sending it to me? I said, because you're Mr. Ratty right hand man. Because whenever I message Mr. Ratty or so on, he never responded. Whenever I make donations, I never get a reply to say that my donations were received. So um when I get it, I screenshot my Zelle and I would post it in call to action most of the time so that people can see that I'm donating. Right. So I've never get a call back to say, well, okay, your money has been received or anything. So that's why when I request my fund through a message, I put went to my bank account and I get all the Zells that I've Zelled to Mr. Ratigan from October to June, and I sent a screenshot of it to to Jeffrey to pass on the message to Mr. Ratigan because I know he will get it. I know
Okay.
that he will get it. And the day after I send that to him, get back money less
Come
$100.
closer. Come closer. The day after you send it to Mr. Tavares, that is Jeffrey Tavares from Make Talk. You're talking, right?
Actually message me and say, why you sending I never get this. Why you sending it to me? And the response I said, because you are Mr. Ratty right hand. That's it. That's what I said.
All
And
right. So let
what
me ask
he
you the
sent
yeah, go ahead. Let me hear it. Finish.
he makes sure that Mr. Ratigan get the message. And the day after I request my refund, I get the refund in my account. And it was short of $100. And I send another message. This time I send it to him, and I said it said short of $100, and I send it to Mr. Ratigan message as well, and the $100 was there also. So I get back all my money because I am not
So
into
what gives you the right to claim back your money? What
what
why
gives
you
me what gives me the right to claim back my
uh-huh.
money.
Uh-huh.
Listen, my money
No, but
get
you have
spent
given money. You have
into
given money
listen.
into an organization, an active organization that was protesting, traveling all over the place, doing their thing. I'm
Mhm.
assuming that's what you were contributing to. So
I thought,
why?
I thought, I
Uh-huh.
thought was donating to an organization who is fighting for the cause, not for somebody's self gain or for one person self gain. So now I can say that I don't have a problem to give to a cause like this. But the problem is that I have to see because when I'm asking where or how much money being collected, how it's being spent, or whatever, I don't see nowhere. I can go on the website and see where how much money being collected or how much money being spent or what's there. So I don't want to give in the shadows of giving to an organization like that. I rather to put my hard earned money that I work. This is not what I get from commission doing commission work. This is what I sit and work. I work 10-hour shift per day on my regular job to pay my bills, and that comes from my paycheck. That doesn't come from a commission job. That comes from my paycheck, and I want to give it to. I sent in June. I sent up one full barrel of back school bags, pure school bags and school supplies to Jamaica for back to school. If that's the case, I'd rather do that than to send so for somebody else's political gain. I went to Canada expecting a protest. I didn't know the whole setup that I'm going to a conference. And now, based on what I have seen and what I have read from 501c3, you're not supposed to get involved where politics is concerned when you are collecting 501c3 money. So obviously, I searched, I could never find the registration. I see a blank form that without signature and stuff like that. So I am not gonna put my money there until I see the proof that there is. I don't have a
Okay.
problem.
So,
Dennis,
go ahead, Dr. Francis.
I just want to say that, first of all, I think, you know, what Commissioner Doyle was very courageous. And also, I want to say that we didn't get any money. I mean, you know, nobody has got any funds or what have you. And I know there's something lurking around, which also about something bad.
Listen, let me tell you.
That's what we want. That's what we really want to get to.
Hold on. Let me tell you this. I've never received a dime from nobody. I went to New York. That was the second protest. I buy my own plane ticket and I get my own hotel room. I pay for my hotel room. I went to Washington, D.C. I rent a vehicle and I drove from Florida to Washington, rent a car, and drove back to Florida. Understand? Being a lot of gas, anybody who know the distance is a long way. And not only that, back to Canada, I buy my plane ticket. I bring my family member there to Canada, pay for his plane ticket, pay for the hotel room, rent a car in Canada, and the whole 9 yards. I've never get a dime, and I was not expecting a dollar from nobody. So
it's important that we talk about this money, because this is one of the things that the singer and all the other people talking about, is that money is one of the issues that we have in here. But before we get to the money, you had mentioned something about self-gain. Commissioner Chai, could you describe what is self-gain? What are you referring to when you say self-gain? If you don't want to answer, that's fine too.
No, when I listen and I watch the responses and the whole 9 yards, this is like one person is it's all about them. It's all about them, and it's not about the group, and it's not about. And then I see how this one blaming that, and calling names and making threats and all them something there. So I said, oh. I look into myself and I say, okay, so this is what was been going on. Somebody wants some job somewhere or whatever the case is, and blaming others. When I see how Dr. Francis and Herb work, I mean, feel sorry for them. And that's why I said I have to be there to help them and to see how this turned out, because one person want to gain. Come on, that's ridiculous.
So, all right, thank you, Commissioner Jai. Dr. Francis, Wilfred Ratigan had left the group, resigned from the group. Who went with him? Did anybody?
Yes, Mr. President, they call him Mr. President, Lincoln Lewis.
Oh, so Mr. President was a part of the group, and so
eventually we invited him, yes.
And of course, was Mr. Tavares a part of the group as well?
He left too, yes. He left too.
Oh, okay. So he left the group. So so Mr. Ratigan take along with him a few of your members, right?
Yes, actually, I brought on Mr. Prezi, and he left with Mr. Ratigan, yes.
Oh, okay. But you're saying that call to action is not crippled at all?
No. Far from being crippled. It would be crippled if we didn't have stalwart people. We have a lot more people who are willing to, but what they want is the people want normalcy. They don't want any more of this foolishness going on in terms of people saying that, saying the other. And that's what we want. Just leave us alone. If you are no longer with us, then you ought to be just leave us alone and let us prosper.
All right. There was on the topic of money. There was a conversation I've been hearing on social media about some money in a brown paper bag. It's unfair for me for really discuss that in depth because the person who was accused of taking that money in the brown paper bag is Jamaica Carlos. But he had put out a clip, and I have it here. If you don't mind, I could play it to defend himself that he did not
Before you
collect it. Mhm.
play, Dennis, let me just say this categorically. The brown paper bag issue was a settled issue inside the call to action because a meeting was called by Ratigan and Lion, and Carlos was in attendance. All of us were in attendance, all 9 of us. And we hashed that thing out, and Carlos proved beyond a shadow of a doubt at the time that the money was collected on his behalf and that he was the recipient of that brown paper bag. There's no secret. I don't even think you need to play the video to show that he was meeting with the man because it's been played lots of times out there. But I'm saying to you, this is not an issue. It's a non-issue. Now, like most other things, Mr. Ratigan chose to bring this up, right? Because he's like that. He's selfish, he's self-centered, and he has not gotten his own way during that.
I want to ask you a question, but I'm gonna play the clip for those who who are here. I'm gonna play this clip and see.
So this is the moment the brother reached out to me. Knowing that my father dead and all that, the man come to me and say, Carlos, I love how you work, you know. I love how you beat them with the 2x4. Give me a bag or a box. I'm going to beg a collection for you buy more lumber. To get more 2x4 for beat them. Let's watch. I bend down under the table. I'm going to get a brown bag. I'm going to give the man. Watch. As you can see, the brother open up the bag like a market him a go. Him fold it over, roll it over. Him a go get to work. Watch, guys. You will see. Just watch. As you can see, the man gone over. That is president right there. The man is next to president. Now listen to the man in the crowd. You can't make no mistake who the man was collecting it for. Listen.
All right, so there you have it, guys. The money was basically collected, and it was made clear that that money was collected for Jamaica Carlos because of his work that he had put in and the passing of his dad. I guess is a combination of both reasons why the money was collected. I want to get to something because we're almost out of time, but I want to get to something, Mr. Nelson. Did you actually share with Mr. Ratigan about Dr. Francis's involvement in Green Bay killing? Let me tell you before you answer. I just felt real. I don't know how to describe it. Going back to that, I don't like the tears of the whole Green Bay killing, but I'm doing my work, so I have to do it. But it's really a distasteful subject to discuss. Did you share with Doctor? Did you share with Attorney Ratigan that that Dr. Francis is involved in Green Bay killing?
I had no personal conversation with Attorney Ratigan in any way about Dr. Francis. As a matter of fact, it was a part of Ratigan's plan to drive a wedge between us on the call to action table. As a matter of fact, I see people talk about disingenuous here. Ratigan failed to address his role in collecting money, in documenting it, and in publishing financial statements. This is what he should have been discussing. And he should have been discussing why I told Wayne Lonesome he was not qualified to run the association in Canada. That's what he should have been discussing. Instead, he decides to stir up trouble, going back over stuff that our general counsel, Michelle Bowen, had settled years ago, right? Why? Because his ego couldn't take it otherwise. And this is the thing. He kept telling lie after lie. He told so many lies that night. And the thing he missed out on in telling his lies is that if Dr. Francis came to him for counsel, which he did, then it is client patron privilege information, personal information. But he didn't care. He wanted to tear the house down, so he put that information out there. This is the type of man we're dealing with. And I'm sorry that you weren't around 6 years ago when a lot of this stuff popped up, and we had to quell the rumor mill, which we settled this 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. So let Ratigan come with the person who supposedly received a phone call in Jamaica. Let him come with anything he wants to come with, because that treachery is going out the door.
It's a Herb Nelson. Earlier in when the protests started, and as you know, I was at the very first one, and I was at the second one as well. Many persons were saying that the connection with Dr. Francis and Mr. Ratigan, it was not right because they both have personal agendas. One of the most common thing is that, and I had asked Mr. Because I was there as a journalist, and I had asked Mr. Ratigan himself too. I think I asked him the question twice, in fact. Pearsons were saying that he was disgruntled because he had applied for the commissioner position a couple of times and was refused. Members of this panel, I would ask a question too, and they would have defended it that is not true. They don't think the man have any personal agenda. Are you now saying to me that after all said and done, you, Mr. Herb Nelson, think that Wilfred Ratigan, Attorney Ratigan, had an ambition and did not, that was not fulfilled, and he was disgruntled, and that's why he was a part of you guys' organization to get back at the Jamaica government?
He brought that proof with him on Saturday night. He was the one who was making these wild accusations as to how myself and Dr. Francis work with the military intelligence unit in Jamaica to upend his application. He brought that to the fore, knowing that neither the two of us had ever had any discussions with him over his applications, other than to praise him for having applied and state it was unfortunate that they didn't select him. Up until Saturday night, you could not tell me otherwise. But when he opened his mouth on Saturday night, I knew he was carrying some kind of grudge. I knew then that he couldn't contain it anymore. He just had to come out and blame somebody for him not making it, other than them rejecting him because he was not playing ball with them. And this is what we always felt.
The rat tail on them own self say I make the cheese. Mighty God. Mighty God.
Let me ask Dr. Francis the same question. I know I've been bruising this Green Bay killing thingy that I really want to touch, but before we get to it, because I want to hear from Dr. Francis, that ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Francis he is here tonight to tell us of his involvement and how in the Green Bay killing. Many of you all, if you're over 50, I think you would have known about the Green Bay killing and how devastating that was to us as Jamaicans. Dr. Francis, are you of the opinion today that Wilfred Ratigan had an ambition to become a commissioner, and he was disgruntled and because he didn't get it, and he used you? Let me ask a question, because this was what was being said from earlier, and he used you to bring out. And I must, before I even ask the question, I must say to the members at this panel, I am indeed a neutral person in this whole saga. I am just here to ask the questions, and ask the question that the public is concerned about. So I'm not asking from any position of mine. Dr. Francis, are you now of the opinion that you were used to get back at the government for Mr. Ratigan's personal desire?
I could not answer that question honestly and tell you that I know that he did that. I don't know what's in his brain. But all I know, I think he has some hang-ups, okay? I don't know where he got them from, but I didn't know that I added value to that at all. I didn't know.
So he was hanging with you, talking with you, but have some hang-ups with you.
Apparently, yes.
And Herb Nelson would have shared the same sentiment. Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, repeat the question again, then.
You're saying that you guys were working together because you were on many platforms with Mr. Ratigan, and I'm not here to tear him down in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here to ask a question. Are you saying that he was with you, hanging with you, but then have a beef with you that they did not bring out all these times?
It out of his own mouth, Dennis. I mean, I don't know. We're still stunned that he would even bring that up and even say it publicly, knowing it to be wrong, knowing not to be true.
Yeah, he said it. He said that, though. I heard it.
He has no proof.
Have you had dialogue with him since like a one-on-one dialogue ever since you guys leave Canada, Mr. Nelson?
The only dialogue I had was via text, which I asked him to report the funds that he received in Canada, and he sent me a text about those funds, right? And I reminded him that we needed to have it documented, because people who give $250 or more need to get a receipt or acknowledgement that we got the money. But the thing is, when people don't get a receipt or acknowledgement and they give cash, if they ask for their money back, who you going to identify as giving you that money? We had somebody give us $400, and and I passed it on to Mr. Ratigan, right, as to who donated up to $650, and it just fell on deaf ears. When I asked him in New York, I asked him in Washington, and I asked him again in Toronto to get the donors list. I even started writing out a list of everybody there in Toronto. And when they gave him the money on stage, I said, we need to put the person's name down. As a matter of fact, I was putting the person's, not the name, but the email, to make sure we'd acknowledge to them that they made a donation. He refused to do that. So I couldn't understand a man who did not send out minutes of any board meetings we had, didn't even send an agenda about the board meeting, right? And now he was refusing on every occasion I was with him to have a donors list. He stated you have to give $5,000 to go on a donors list, which is false. People needed a receipt to be able to claim their income tax, right? On their income tax. And of course, in the US, we know that threshold is much higher. But still, the $250 can be the difference in meeting that threshold or not.
Right.
You doesn't know that. Also, you don't want to take a whole lot of cash in, because you can't show whether the money is coming from a good source or not. He knows that as an FBI agent, right?
Okay.
We don't want to take any laundered money in, right? But
I hear you about the money. I hear you about the money, but I've been getting texts. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner. And Commissioner, before you even talk, do you know that I have a back to school program that I just came from Jamaica? I give away 450 bags to kids down there. But you never contribute to my program. Don't have to answer that. Call me after the show.
Oh gosh. Anyway, that will come in due time. But anyway, as you mentioned about my campaign, I, as a commissioner, and I have to open a non-profit campaign account, right? And it's the law. I cannot accept nothing over $50 and over in cash. Understand?
Oh.
That's the law. And that's not even a 501c3. 501c3 is even more worse than that. So therefore, yeah, I can't accept that. That's just donation to my campaign account. So therefore, I mean, this is what we fail to understand. If you're taking cash over $50, you're in serious violation. You're in serious violation of the non-profit rules and laws.
Wow.
So
I guess that's a question for Ratigan to answer as it relates to that money that you guys talking about. But I want to play
Dennis,
yes, sir.
Dennis, it's very important that.
So let me say this. I'm sorry. Let me say this. That brown paper bag that was going around, if anything in that brown paper bag was put in there for OGLDF, and me sure no say a pure cash going in that bag. So anybody that
but that was actually for Carlos though, and a personal level.
I saw somebody in a one comment say them put money in it for OGLDF, and also I saw Mr. Ratigan stating that the money that him getting out the brown paper bag for OGLDF, it needs to be Carlos need to return it. It is not so, because you cannot accept cash under those circumstances. And I was there when that brown paper bag was going around, and I know for a fact the man say Macaleka offering for two before, to buy more two before, for Carlos for lick out, and the people put in on the bag. I was physically there.
I need to say
about that. So when they're talking about Carlos Steve money and all of that, that's ridiculous.
Dr. Francis,
ridiculous.
No,
I'm about to play the clip, though. Now. I'm about to play the clip if that's what you want to address.
Okay, because they said that I did something with Carlos about the money and I gave permission or something, and that's
All right, go ahead and address that because I don't have a clip on that.
no. Well, that it was said that I gave permission to, and it's quite clear during that I wasn't even I was away. If you look, I was in the back.
Yeah,
But
I
I
saw you
mean,
in the back.
they asked me if I saw a paper bag. Somebody asked me. I think it was, and I called in the names. Called me after. I said yes, I saw it, and it was being collected for Carlos. How did that mean that I sanctioned it or I didn't know anything about it? I mean, but that's the intensity of the whole thing.
Okay. All right, guys. To be continued as it relates to the money, because I think I'm gonna talk to Ratigan about something about that because some question. If he allow me, I will ask the question. But I'm gonna play a clip that that we want to talk about. This Green Bay killing is really a big thing. So I'm gonna have this.
Recently told that Mr. Nelson in a telephone conversation with an individual in Jamaica stated that Dr. Francis was involved in the Green Bay massacre and also several killings in the Waterhouse area. Now, I have been told that there are victim families in the Olympic Gardens and Waterhouse areas who would like to meet with Dr. Francis to ask about the demise of their loved ones. I was also asked to broker this event, and I refused.
Wow. Hello.
So Dennis, ask Mr. Ratigan to send you the names of those victims' families so we can address them, right? And then ask him why he didn't want to broker such an event since he loves the limelight so much, right? Because he's bringing up a totally false scenario that I was talking to somebody in Jamaica. You asked me the question earlier if I was about discussions with him. And I told you I didn't have any discussions with him. So how does he come out of the blue now to claim that the discussions was not with him, it was somebody in Jamaica? Where's this mystery person in Jamaica? Who are they?
Very good question.
Them.
But who?
Dr. Francis, defend your position as it relates to killing.
I don't have to defend anything because it's rubbish. I was the man in charge of the military police, force security officer. Okay, I was asleep in my bed. The next morning, I heard that there was a killing at Green Bay. When I learned about the circumstances that people were taken to Green Bay, it was disgusting. And it led
you at the time you were an active member in the military.
What do you mean if I was an active member? I told you I was a force security officer of the first military police that was official in the Jamaica Defense Force. Go look at it. The label is still at the front desk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when I was disgusted about the whole thing. And a lot of things led after that. But at the same time, somebody must be carrying a belly for me or something, because the fact of the matter is that there's some, people who are totally opposed to that being accused of doing something like that. And it went to the Gleaner, which I sent you a copy of the Gleaner. We sent you another Wikipedia copy. Distribute it. My name has not been called in, that is 1979, 78, 79. And my name has not been called and wasn't called at the trial, has not been called since. And I will serve the Jamaican government, serve all, and nothing. So what do you think this is? This is an attempt to destroy me. And you know what they've done? They want to destroy my family, because one family member walked in and said, "Who is going to kill us now?" Because they know.
I want to ask you that question at the end of it too, and I'm going to ask Herb Nelson as well.
This is horrific. Horrific.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Francis, and tell us how you
the whole idea that you can put someone like me at the range, when it couldn't be. I wasn't, I couldn't, I don't. In fact, I got a call from my driver at the time. I said, "Boss man, what I'm talking about? If you went to that range, I would be driving you. because I didn't drive myself. I had a driver. Okay? So weak minds. Where they came from, I don't know.
So have you ever heard of this accusation before? During the time in the military, anybody had ever called your name about your involvement
Not in 30 odd years, no.
Oh.
Not in 30 odd years. So this is a figment of somebody's imagination. I don't know who, but this is ridiculous. And you're gonna tell me you may have known of this, and you know of this and all that, and you and I are colleagues, and you never told me. And now you're telling everybody I am the guy who's stabbing you, I am the guy who's doing this, I am the guy who's doing that. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, the reason we came on here tonight is to debunk that myth and to tell you, whoever told you, believe you me, they need their heads examined. Because that didn't happen. I killed no one. And let me make it quite clear. If I killed members of the family, how the heck did I represent that same area? Okay, and only lost my seat by 12 votes. Because I told you I was in politics. Okay?
I just want to tell guys
nobody
that
came to me.
I'm trying to pull it over, but it's not coming across. But I'm going to try with it some more. For those who want to see, you could check the Gleaner, our Google list. Green Bay survivor, remember 30 years after massacre. So that's how you can find it in Google if you want to Google it. And I'm going to keep trying to put this thing up.
And it was also in Wikipedia. Wikipedia also had the same thing. So you have a lot of information. I mean, if you went to the Gleaner archives, you would see, and the people who were tried, the people they were examined. It was huge. Okay, it was huge. And as I said before, my platoon, my companies are up in arms because they've called me almost every day. What is happening? Okay, what is happening? And and so on. And I just can't believe it, because I one of my careers was to sell insurance in the army. Could you think I would have access to the military at every level after that? After killing people? They don't understand the military, my friend. They don't.
So are you guys implying that this is a make-up story by Mr. Ratigan?
You have called a name. I have not called any name. I said anybody has done this needs their heads examined.
Wow.
Not calling any names.
I was trying to pull it across to read it out, but I'm having a little bit of challenge pulling it across. I probably should have done it before I set up the show. It's giving me a hard time. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Dr. Rupert Francis and Herb Nelson, the guys that in the news. Jamaica Carlos was unable to make it tonight. But those are some of the main names that was called in this past recent Ratigan show that they have that he have every Saturday. That talks about issues and concerns of Jamaica. But he was a bit. I think he wanted to address some of the things that was floating around. And he did that. And this past Saturday, you could check it out on Reason Right Again. And the names that were called was Herb Nelson and Dr. Rupert Francis, and of course Carlos, Jamaica Carlos, who was accused of collecting some money as well. But how does your family affected by all this, Dr. Francis? Dr. Francis, you're muted.
Are afraid because anybody can come and shoot us now, and we don't know who, because it's supposed to have people out there who have missed their loved ones, and I supposed to have killed them and all that sort of thing. And so they're afraid, to be quite honest with you, and it is bad because anything can happen, And I want you to look at the bottom of that poster. I'm not saying anything more, but I want to look at it talks about organized crime. How on God's earth that came about?
So Dr. Francis, that means say you couldn't go to Jamaica now.
That's well, I definitely can't. No members. So anyway, I'm gonna cease saying anything right now. Okay.
Wow.
I want to see.
Mr. Nelson, anybody in your immediate circle has been affected by some of the things that is floating around on social media?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback from people who says, Herb, you're doing so well by yourself at the Institute of Caribbean Studies. The day you got mixed up with Ratigan, I didn't like it because I could not trust him. And I stood up for Ratigan at every turn because I started that radio program with him. I started the YouTube with him, right? When he spoke about suing people and Wayne Lonesome suing people, I was the guy that I'd put out, and you can ask Dr. Francis and anybody else, because I usually do like a newsletter out to the task force. I said that we need to have, just like they have here in America, an innocence project, right? And I also spoke about those prisoners that we have locked up in jails in the Caribbean as well, especially in Jamaica, over 150 prisoners that have never been charged.
Mm.
Some of them was in there for 40 or 50 years or more. So when we're bringing up these things, I was being praised.
Mm.
And then I went and I gave the ideas to Mr. Ratigan, and he's claiming it all for himself. That he thought about this. I told him, I said, we have to have something like the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all those ideas come from. And I said that on one of his programs. But the fact is, before he launched or paid money, as he put it, as if he's the only one spending money out there, Doc Francis can tell you to bring in the head of Cyberpol, International Cyber Policing, and to have him present in Jamaica cost me almost $10,000, right? To bring in other speakers to cover other key areas of law enforcement, of crime and security over the years has cost me over $10,000. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to argue with half of these idiots out there as to whether or not I've made any contribution. Well, Mr. Ratigan doesn't know because he's never asked. He's never looked into the spending and the programs that I've done. I've asked him to fill in for me just to let him get a feel for what it is to have international attorneys and other international people speak at the Institute of Caribbean Studies, Caribbean American Month at the Legislative Week. He did that 2 years ago. So he got a, and he was.
Mr. Nelson, somebody's asking for the records, which I know you have said it before. You said you spend all those money from your pocket. Somebody's asking that.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Francis, a question to you.
Yes, I see the question.
Okay.
By the way, I spent a lot of money too, but I'm not even going to go into that over the years. We can do that at another time. But let me answer that person. The question about the lawsuit against the Prime Minister. Well, gentleman, whoever you are, I did not want to sign it because I'd signed 5 previously. And I said, what is this? Why am I the only person, according to them, the only laborite, and I am signing all of these things all the time? Ask anybody. And I refuse. I said, I'm not going to sign anymore.
Okay.
And by the way, Mr. You know, the Mr. Ratigan said that I was dilly-dallying around and this, that, the other. 5 of them, and each of them was a target on my back. And it is at that time I realized that somebody maybe don't like me. That's all I have to say. Because I'm saying to you, that's why, can you imagine? You know? And I'm going to tell you one thing. One thing. I asked a certain individual, how is it you can't make, when my name was defamed, how you could not send, sue that person? I have not gotten a response up to now.
Wow.
So I'm just saying to you, and you know, I'm just saying to you, whoever that is, a very good question, because I nearly forgot that these things should not have been. We are grouped together, we should sign together, but no, I was the quote unquote idiot, I guess.
Okay.
The
Well,
guinea pig. You were the guinea pig.
Guinea
wow.
pig, yes, guinea pig.
Commissioner Joy said you were the guinea pig. Herb Nelson, we're gonna end pretty soon here, but I'm gonna ask you a question. I have seen you on Mr. Ratigan on various platforms, as I had mentioned before, and now something happened and everything changed. If I would offer myself as a mediator to bring you guys back together, would you accept that?
I'll accept it if he puts an apology in writing and retract the lies he has told.
Okay.
That's the only conditions I could accept it under, because he's cast aspersions out there, and he has these people who can't think for themselves, hanging on his every word, and don't do any research for themselves. You can't keep doing that. You got to research. You got to look at what laws I say were being violated, what rules were being violated, and why I had to take action the way I did. We can't say the prime minister is not transparent, he's not accountable, and he has no integrity when we are practicing the same things that the prime minister practices from time to time.
Exactly.
We got to change. We got to do differently. We are a different breed of people, and
Yes,
this
sir.
is what I stand up for: integrity, transparency, and accountability.
Thanks for reminding me about it. Let me say that.
So let me ask you the question, Dr. Francis. If I could be the mediator between you and Mr. Ratigan in bringing you guys back together, I know it might sound like a dumb question, but would you accept me being the mediator and try to bring you guys back together?
I know the political answer should say yes, I would, but let me make it quite clear. The only way is I love the people out there. They want that. They hate this. Everybody from every side hate what is going on. They don't like it. And believe you me, if it were for them alone, I would do it. But I have to have Jesus Christ down there to sign the paper and make as a witness to the occasion. Okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't know who to trust apart from those who I know I can trust. Okay? And that's the honesty. So the fact of the matter is that the call to action is not a bad idea. Bringing the diaspora together is not an idea. I love the people out there, but they must know who is working with them and for them.
Yes.
Okay? And who, and I'm telling you what they call me, the names. I'm afraid. Not for me. I'm good.
Dr. Francis, we're going to wrap up here real quick. I can see and I know for a fact that many people did like what you guys were doing together. Many people had like what you guys are doing together. Who's gonna now represent the people?
Well, we are. We are going to do it.
So is it the same representation that Mr. Ratigan is putting forward with his team? What would you guys be representing the same cause and concerns?
Dennis,
Yes,
let me put this out here.
Mm-hmm.
We need just one key person in our organization at this point. Somebody that can replace Ratigan, a young attorney who is willing to do international law and look at cases in Jamaica, filing the global Magnitsky Act complaints, filing FARA complaints, filing the Leahy law. We need the Leahy law more than anything now because of all the killings occurring in Jamaica.
Okay.
There's a lot of police executions going on. When you put somebody to kneel down and fire a shot in their heads or wherever and killing them, this kind of killing is happening with more frequency because you have a police commissioner who came out and told them pretty much, do what you have to do. I'll back you. And you cannot do that. You're giving people the green light to just start killing folks. So the bottom line here is we have to rein things in and we have to do it right. And we need an attorney to work with us. So if you're a young attorney out there and you want to work with us, let me know. I'm willing to work with you. We have a lot of people that's volunteering now to run different parts of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council here in the US. We need volunteers in the UK and we need more volunteers in Canada, right? We don't have to go through nobody in Canada to make things happen. Ain't a bad man out there can stop us. So I'm putting that out there. And
we want to wrap up, Mr. Nelson. But before I get into the final thought, Jamaica Carlos just joined us. I'm gonna give him a minute to put his 2 cents out there, and then we start wrapping up. Jamaica Carlos, welcome to the show.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Sadal. How are you doing? And gentlemen
I'm
on the panel,
good.
and viewers and listeners, manners and respect. Yeah, man.
Yes,
Me just get a chance. I work me there and me just get a chance to get a break. Me say, well, let me see if we can come in. Me say that at the end. But me I listen, but me can't say nothing, you know. Me just get a break.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
So,
go ahead,
brother.
sir. No, I'm listening to you. The floor is
Yeah,
yours.
my 2 cents about it is my heart hurt. Me gonna say it again, my heart is hurt. I feel embarrassed about everything. You know, I this group of gentlemen right here, I'm very, I think it's a pleasure, you know, to be around them, knowing that me and the law enforcement, as I can see, them man have some deep law enforcement background from way back when. I learn a lot from all of them. I'm sorry how things turn out like this. And me I say sorry to everybody who, you know, who heart report at them chest. About 100 times I say it, come I love the people. I know what happened based on the call me, people call me. People not got work. And me know one lady called me, say she not got work like for about 2 weeks now, you know. So she under depression, you know. Real serious, you know. One lady not got work for about 2 weeks because of depression. Serious thing me I tell you, so me know the weight of this thing and what we are doing and the impact and of everything. So let me talk about my little part about the money. When we go to New York, people me never ask nobody for no money. Everywhere I go to call to action. Herb is here. Herb was on the board for the money. Herb no. I was never given a bottle of water out of the one Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. We find our own plane ticket, own hotel and transportation anywhere I go. When I went to New York, the man came up to me and said, cause they know some my father did and all them things. And these people are my friends. We have a lot of people in New York. And that's the only protest I ever receive $1 from. And when I get the money, I told Dr. Francis, I told Herb, I told Wayne Lonesome, I tell Wayne Global, I tell me and Jeffrey Tavares have about our conversation about it. We talk in the group. We never hide it from the group people. So it's nothing. So I was surprised when I see it come back out there, among other things from 1960s and the 50s. I don't know how long them think they was pulled up out of Noah's Ark. But, you know, I'm sorry for what happened. Enough love. Me have to run again. I will continue to listen.
And you will continue the fight for the people.
Oh, yes. Me hear a question, say, boy, if you could have put us back together. Me a straight man, you know. Me can't go back to that, you know. No, me not going back. I will not go back. But I will continue. But you know, me been on social media for how long? Me protesting on my page every day, pretty much. So the fight is not going to stop. Come love my people. You understand me? And whether it be PNP or labor right, them now miss me 2x4. Respect everybody. Me gone.
Thank you very much, sir. Your final thought. Let me start with the lady. Just you have 1 minute, Commissioner Jai, to wrap up. We're gonna end the program. Your final thought, Commissioner Jai.
Well, I've stated, I have been called names, threatened that I cannot come back to Jamaica, me a rebel, because me a hunger in the dirty 30 and all of that stuff and thing like that. For a good cause, this is what I'm doing for a good cause, and I'm not intimidated, and I'm not afraid. I will always stand up for Jamaica, for my Jamaican people. I can go anywhere else go live. I can go to England go live. I can go Ghana go live. I can live anywhere, and I love Jamaica. And I'm standing up for Jamaican, and I'm doing it here, and I will do it abroad in Jamaica. So therefore, um, I have no regrets of joining Call to Action, joining the protest and everything. My regret is that it should not have been ending the way how it did. I met everybody in a certain period of time, everyone in a certain period of time, and my regret is that it turned out this way. We could have done it better. But when I look and see all what is happening here, I have to think twice of which circle I go in, or who I hang around with, or who I even try to do business with. So therefore, because I mean, they said, Eve, don't even trust the person you lie down on the pillow with, because you don't know what their intentions are or what they are capable of doing. So now
Okay.
I'm saying, let us get a way out of this. Let us focus on fighting for Jamaica, fixing Jamaica, because while we are on social media doing all of this, fixing this and fixing that, it's taking longer than ever. Jamaica is getting sold out. So guys, we can do this, and we're gonna continue to do it. Hello, Dr. Francis and Herb Nelson. I love you and I respect you. My respect no less for you guys. I respect the others as well, but I have to take it arm's length. So thank you very much for having me here tonight. I respect you, Mr. Dennis Sutherland, for trying to fix everything. I
You're
love you guys.
welcome. I love you too, sis. Mr. Herb Nelson, I'm gonna give you 1 minute. I know you have a lot to say, but we are out of time. So I'm gonna give you a minute to
I
give us the
understand
final
that.
thought.
Let me say this, Dennis. Mr. Ratigan made a statement that he and I had equal access to the account, the OJLDF account. So I must be the one that is giving out information. I do not have equal access to the account. I had an email portion of the account that recorded Zelle contribution, Zelle. So all the other banking statements and everything else, you heard him say he exclusively has control over that. So I just wanted to clear that misnomer up and say that's another lie we can add to the other lies that were told. But look, I appreciate you, Dennis. I appreciate the panel members. I appreciate the audience. Even though a lot of them praised me before, I have recordings of them praising me, like Catherine and Loxley and the rest of them. And now they're coming to be disingenuous towards me. Look, I will always stand up for truth, justice, transparency, and accountability. And that's what I'm doing, folks. Believe it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis.
You're welcome, sir. Mr. David Brown, which is Dr. Rupert Francis attorney, is here with us. Sir David Brown, do you want to say anything on the behalf of your client, sir?
Well, as I indicated before, I'm here in two capacity as a Dr. Friend's attorney and as a member of the task force. As an attorney, my purpose here was to ensure that my client doesn't speak out of context or anything that can be construed as being defamatory of Mr. Ratigan, right? And as Commissioner Smith said to you, I laud you with your efforts to try to bring people together, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm doing the same because I am concerned about brand Jamaica.
Yes, sir.
I don't like this cascas, as we would call it. It's not good. It's not good for us as a people, right? So I hope this can help to bring an end to all of this as it relates to bringing people together. Sometimes things are just irreconcilable, right? And maybe, people can operate in their own sphere doing what they're trying to do. As a matter of fact, even though I'm Dr. Francis' attorney and friend, I would say, we don't normally agree on stuff, right? And not because I disagree with him, right? I won't disparage him, right? In fact, I totally disagree with him in going in the direction he was going with the call to action. I don't believe in and no offense to you either, but my position, I didn't really believe in these protests outside of Jamaica, right? I don't believe in it. Seems as if, you're tearing down the government. I didn't like it. But then again, as an attorney, I respect people's, especially in America, I respect people's freedom, of speech.
Right.
Yet, things must be non-political. So if there's any veering towards a particular party, right, it can be misconstrued that this effort was just an effort to tear down the GLP government, right? So that being said, I hope, after this panel, whatever happens, I know Mr. Ratigan probably, more than likely, will be watching this at some point. Mr. Ratigan, I understand that you might hear things that offensive, but whatever you can do to just rise to a certain level where you just make certain things pass, and we just try to quash this for the sake of brand Jamaica.
Brand Jamaica. I totally agree with you, Attorney Brown. And I must say to you, sir, thank you for stopping by. Even though I know you're here representing your client, Dr. Rupert Francis. Dr. Rupert Francis, it has come to an end for the night. I know we'll have many other shows that we will discuss, and I call it not show, but a podcast that will discuss issues as they come along. Dr. Francis, you want to just take us out for the night with your closing remark?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Attorney Brown. Thank you very much, Herb. Thank you very much, Chris. Commissioner Joy, you are always a joy. And I want to say to the audience, there are lots of persons in the audience wanted to find out what was happening and how it happened. Some may not agree, and many may not agree with us, and may not agree with some of the things we have said, but they're true. And I made sure to bring this to your fore. And I want to tell you that I enjoyed working with you. I will continue to enjoy working with you. Some of you might not want to work with me because you believe that we are being disingenuous. I don't think so. I think that we are doing the right thing. I think that we ought not to be pointing fingers at each other. I think that Jamaica is the number one thing, the number one choice, the best country in the world. And I just want to thank all of you for having assisted work. And I look forward to working with you. And for those of you who don't want to work with us, it's fine. One person asked me, am I coming to New York? Absolutely not. Because to this protest, I think so ego. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not into that. So as far as I'm concerned, thank you very much one more time. Love you and all of you. And in spite of what you think, please go read about the thing that they said I did. And as I am an organized crime fighter. Oh, by the way, when any one of you see my what do you call my car, my Lamborghini, please return it for me. I think I left it somewhere in New York or Canada. Okay, the Lamborghini. That's the one that I got from organized crime. All right.
That money did not come from OJLDF, right?
No, it did not.
Well, okay. I want to personally thank you, Dr. Francis, Commissioner Joy, Chris Durant, Herb Nelson, and of course, Attorney Brown. By extension, Jamaica Carlos. I try to remain neutral, but I think there's one thing that we all have in common from hearing you, and it includes even your opponents, everybody. I think, I would think that we are people who love our country. and we see and concern about things that is happening. And I think that, we're just trying to make a difference in our own little way. And that's all our objective are. At least I can talk for myself. That's what my objective are. And that's why I went to Jamaica this past weekend, 48 hours, deliver 450 bags to needy kids in the rural parts of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Clarendon, and Westmoreland, to those 8 schools. I did that because I want to make a change. And so I'm displaying it on my Facebook page, Dennis Sutherland, R Sutherland TV. Y'all could see what we're doing. And the intention is for you to participate, not so much of giving to my program, but create a program to yourself. Because if you can do that, we can build a better Jamaica. Again, thank you guys. We have one thing in common, is to build a better Jamaica. Let us just keep the fire burning and let us not cut down each other. If we can resolve what we have going on, we resolve it. If we can't resolve, we just go about with business, and that's it. Thank you all for stopping by. Much love, much blessings. Dr.
Thank
Francis.
you.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
take
Have
care,
a
man.
good night.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Enough
Thank
respect.
you.
All right, Chris. All right,
Take
cool.
care, brother.
All right. Uh-huh.
All right. Well, that's it. We're done. All right,
Yeah,
man.
done.
Well, thank you guys. So take care. Herb, we'll talk again soon, right?
All right.
Right?
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, all right, cool.
Dennis, thank you. Well, good job. I don't
You're
know
welcome, sir.
what's your listenership was this evening, but I hope it, you didn't tell me. I know you can see anything, Herb, the listenership?
Huh?
The listenership today. How many people tuned in?
I didn't see it. I because this screen is so small on this laptop. I was looking to see if I could pick up on it.
I'll check
And
it out.
at one time it was only about 50 people or so.
Okay. Let's see. All right, then. Take care. All the best.
The thing is we need to. What I usually try and do is copy the thing in the chat.
Hello.
You guys are still live, man. You guys are still live.
We're live? Okay.
My heart.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.